This video breaks down how the Lakers aren't only beating teams, but making them quit. From LeBron's staggering lead in plus-minus to LA's athletically dominant defense, you're about to see how they're overwhelming opponents and just how sustainable this 7-1 return of Showtime-like Lakers start really is. Shout out to Wasp answering with Kendrick Nunn and says he's playing like a veteran out there. I definitely agree. It's rare you see a rookie with as much poise as Kendrick, so thanks to Wasp for the great take and consistent support. The top 5 in Speaks get yearly awards announced on December 6th. Tonight's Laker question is coming up. The modern Showtime Lakers have been insane on both ends, but they're giving opposing offenses a puzzle that drains their confidence and seems impossible to solve. Surrounded by capable, athletic defenders at every position, for the first time in his career, Anthony Davis is a primary factor that makes it impossible to run successful sets against the Lakers consistently. Whether it's Anthony's rim protection with his 3 blocks per night, his activity in the passing lanes with his deflections, or his closeouts, he's undoubtedly the most intimidating big man defender in the league right now. There's no area where Davis dominates on this end more than in the pick and roll. Just being the perfect safety back there, he's got a sensational ability to stop an attacking guard at or beyond the top of the key and then get back to stop the big man at the rim. For casual fans, that's something known as hedging and recovery. It sets a tone for his fellow center teammates Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee, who've been pretty damn good themselves shutting down the pick and roll. The second athletic phenom we hone in on is the memed GOAT, fan favorite Alex Caruso, who's already shown off some of his mind-blowing bounce in 2019-20. Caruso's energy mixed with his hops make him a defensive animal, which fully make up for his lack of scoring on the other end. Under 18 minutes per night, and Alex has averaged close to 1.5 steals per night in the early season, and his 0.6 blocks per game ranks 11th among all NBA guards. He had some effective stretches offensively last season. His shot should start falling, but most importantly, Caruso's taking charges, getting blocks and deflections, and being the perfect complementary role player on the top team in the West. Even if his shot never falls, he's an underrated quarterback in terms of how he sets his teammates up for buckets. I love his IQ and, of course, his explosiveness that lights up Staples Center. Skinny Dwight was just the number 8 wildest storyline. I talked about Howard's staggering improvement to his overall movement, and you're going to specifically hear about his pick-and-roll defense, but this man's energy, whether it's celebrating on the bench or his springy hops on blocks and dunks on the court, he looks about 25 years old out there. That has a massive impact on his teammates, but his lateral quickness and rotations are a serious asset for Coach Frank Vogel, who gives Dwight around 20 minutes per night, 24 so far in November though, so trust is gaining, and he intelligently saves Dwight's energy for the 4th quarter, not playing him in the 3rd, usually just plays him 2nd and 4th quarters, but the increased playing time so far in November is without a doubt because of Howard's 2011 Orlando Magic-esque defensive value. Dwight's making teams settle for perimeter jumpers because they're scared of facing his deadly combo of size, hops, and now, with his 65-pound weight loss, lateral quickness. The former Defensive Player of the Year, Howard's return to full form, and that's damn intimidating on this stacked Laker team. You've seen AD's defensive impact, now shifting to his offensive game where it's clear he and LeBron mesh perfectly. This 1-2 punch is sending a message to 29 other squads that's impossible not to receive, which is 3 words. Early title favorite, that's coming up. AD and LeBron are 2 of the top 5 NBA players, and they have the scariest pick-and-roll combo the NBA's seen in a very long time. Maybe what's even more intimidating for opponents is that LeBron has debatably his most talented teammate ever, and undoubtedly the best big man teammate he's ever had. With all due respect to the future Hall of Famer Chris Bosh, James hasn't been surrounded by anything close to what Davis provides. First of all, his post-up game from every area looks more unstoppable than it's ever been. The face-up game's on point with his fades and jab steps, and inside, I've never seen Davis be this relentless attacking for layups. Then from Anthony's effortless ability to spin or just bounce off his defender with his strength and catch either a lob or a regular dime, to his post repertoire, you can't even consider leaving him alone, meaning the triple-double monster, far from washed LBJ, coming off an AD screen, can go one-on-one, not worry about a double team with both the Browns eliteness and the Lakers shooting on the perimeter. LeBron just said he can taste the championship, and this generationally unstoppable 1-2 punch is a massive part of that. 1 through 15, the Lakers have significantly experienced players who are comfortable with stepping in at any time, whether in big regular season or playoff moments. Vets like Rondo, Dudley, Caldwell Pope, Troy Daniels, Avery Bradley, and Danny Green all have at least 7 or more years of NBA experience under their belts. All 6 of those players may not be the most talented or have the flashiest stats, but their experience contributes not only to unafraid plays and clutch shooting, but the Lakers, and more prominently, Davis and Bron's state of mind throughout inevitable adversity on their desired title path. On the court, Avery Bradley's turned back the hands of time on both ends, and also bringing to the table defense and shooting is Danny Green, who's looked like a perfect fit. Looking at this from a Clipper perspective, we've yet to see Paul George yet, but this grizzled veteran Laker core is a specific advantage the Lakers have over the Clippers. You need wise locker room presences and smart/tough leaders on the court to sustain 82 games and 16 playoff wins for a championship, and the Lakers possess just that. Having said that, you need the youth to mix along with it, with role players who perform exceptional in one specific area. The youth is pretty limited, yet it's impressive with the aforementioned Alex Caruso along with the so far inconsistent Kyle Kuzma. Caruso's dunks are worth more than 2 points and intimidate opponents, get the crowd going when the Lakers are at home, therefore exchanging momentum. Kyle Kuzma, despite career lows by far across the board, is at the very least a lengthy defensive big, and offensively, we've seen he's capable of being efficient throughout a season, so in this new spot for Kuz as a role player in the playoffs, he can surprise teams and win you a game or two with his shooting. You do have the great at one or two thing role players with JaVale McGee's springiness that provides rebounding and rim protection in the starting lineup, and Troy Daniels' deadly valued shooting off the bench. Before any title predictions or Clipper comparisons, here is your statistical Laker beastliness. Firstly, the quote-unquote wash king LeBron James is the first Laker since Magic Johnson in 1987 to record 3 straight triple-doubles. Next, in their comeback win recently against Chicago, the Lakers had 2 significant, overwhelming runs after being down 18 with 4:48 left in the third. LA scored 16 straight points to start the fourth quarter. Then, after Chicago responded for a few buckets, the Lakers viciously responded with a 13-0 run. A 29-4 run in total for the Lakers. Next is LeBron being plus 13 ahead of the second-place Kawhi Leonard in plus-minus. Lastly, LeBron's defensive engagement has evidently been better, but just so you know that James is factually his same old beastly defender self. After ranking just 10th among forwards in defensive rating last year, LeBron's at 4th among the top defensive wings in basketball. Of course, we're waiting on Paul George's return to see how good the Clippers really are. Up to this point, without PG, Doc and the Clippers are a solid 6-3, but haven't come close to putting the type of pressure on their opponents like the Lakers have been. Kawhi and George's combined 10 all-defensive team appearances and 8 all-NBA teams make it an incredibly intimidating prospect to see them on the floor at the same time. You could argue Kawhi's clutch playoff shot-making, the energy of Beverly and Harrell, Lou Williams' scoring relief, and prime Paul George make the Clippers the favorite. However, what did it take for your last champion, the Raptors, to ultimately get over the hump? Kawhi was historically efficient in rounds 1 and 2 and did his fair share of carrying the next 2 rounds, but reasonably wasn't as efficient in the next 2 rounds. Like any other superstar, he needed a teammate or two to win a couple games with big-time shot-making in the playoffs. That was Danny Green with 6 of 10 threes in Game 1 of the Finals, Ibaka with 3 games of 15-plus to start the Finals, and 6 blocks in Game 4, Gasol scoring at least 17 points in 3 Finals games, Lowry with 26, and Van Vliet with 22 in Game 6 to close out the Warriors. Point is, without an extreme number of productive players 1 through 15 that can step up on any given night, no title is won. The Lakers not only have that with their role players, but the superstardom on both ends, courtesy of a prime Anthony Davis and a scary, far-from-washed Bron. A LeBron James who watched Kawhi dominate the postseason as he sat on the couch last spring. I think that got to him. The man sending a message so far, so not to be a prisoner of the moment, but the Lakers are my prediction to win it all in 2020. But what do you think? Best answer gets next vid shoutout. Splash thumbs up if you enjoyed and want more. Subscribe so you don't miss a single basketball list, story, prediction, and more if you're new. This was D-Flow. Have a great one, and see you next video.